Cheers to a productive day at work. Speaking of which, if you are a colleague of mine and you are somehow lucky enough to have stumbled across my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, or anything on my social media, beware, okay? Beware. And first of all, sometimes I wonder, should I even allow you guys on my page, because this space isn't really for you, but it is a public space. So of course anyone has the privilege of being able to absorb my energy and appreciate what I share here on this channel in my YouTube videos. So welcome, but not welcome, right? I know it's inevitable that some of my colleagues will somehow stumble across my YouTube channel and my videos because they're already curious. They're like, hold on, it's gonna get hot up in here. Let me turn this AC down a couple notches, because I'm telling you, this video is definitely gonna get hot up in here. So you have been warned. Alright, it's funny because I was like on my way to where I work at the hospital, and some thoughts were just coming to my mind, and I'm like, I can do a video on this. On what? Well, so it all started with a dream. And by the way, you guys know that I'm a writer. I'm an author. So some things that I share here in this video and on my page could be fictional. Could be semi-fictional. It could be all truth. Who knows? The world may never know. But it all started with a dream last night. And I'm going to get into the dream later in the video. But a dream, a good dream, shall I say, is what prompted me to do this video. And I thought about the dream as I was on my way to where I work. And I'm like, damn, y'all. I love my life. I love myself. I love my life and I love myself. Alright. So, it's like, where do I begin? So many different starting points. I'm going to take you guys back to 2014 when I began to live out one of my fantasies. I wrote about it in a story that I have released on my website, and it's going to be published in the form of a book sometime. Who knows when? Sometime. I want to say soon, but sometime. I don't know. And many of you guys already are familiar with this story, shall I say. But why do I feel all warm and fuzzy inside? I just got home, actually. Hence the reason why I'm still dressed in my work attire. But it all started back in 2014, and I had been on a major sexual hiatus. Funny enough, though, I was in a serious long-term relationship, but we were not intimate. It was awkward, okay? I'm not about to get into details of that because I just don't want to devote that much energy into that. But it was a 5-year relationship. It was with my best friend at the time. And we were not sexually active. I was not sexually attracted to him. And I know some of y'all may ask the question, how can you be with someone that you're not sexually attracted to? Go fucking figure, right? I was attracted to his spirit, his energy. Like, he was a good person, let's say. He was a good person, had a good heart, and we ended up becoming best friends. But yeah, definitely wasn't physically attracted to him at all. I mean, it's possible. I think it's possible to like be in a romantic relationship with someone that you're not necessarily physically attracted to. Though I don't think I would do that again. But I may. But who knows? I don't know. But anyway, I was not physically attracted to this guy. And then we was dating for 5 years, and we had only had sex like one time, yo. And so, of course, I had a lot of pent up energy that I had to just let go. I'm like, And I had held on to this fantasy of being disciplined, being in bondage for so long that I felt so relieved to have come across this new world of BDSM, as I describe it in my blog on my website. And it's like the rest is history, right? You guys gotta go check that out. Go check out the blog on my website, danielleleach.com. I talk about that experience. It is semi-fictional, shall I say, but it's autobiographical. And oh my gosh, it was like, it's so memorable, right? It's almost like it happened yesterday. And funny enough, I was on my Facebook page and I wanted to block a person. And I went to my list of followers, people who follow my fan page, looking for this person's name that I wanted to block, but then I ended up stumbling across somebody else that I didn't even know that he was following my Facebook page, y'all. And that somebody else is the master. The master in the story, Dying to Submit. The person who helped me fulfill this fantasy that I had been carrying for so many years. The one that I describe in my story, Dying to Submit. He follows my Facebook page. What the fuck? But that was a mystical experience. I'm not going to go too much in detail about that, because that's not the part that I wanted to share here in this video. But as I reflect, I'm like, I'm gonna take my time with this video, yo. I almost choked. I almost tripped over this wine. By the way, I gotta get me some new wine glasses, y'all. I purchased 8 wine glasses. I broke all of them. Because that's just how like heavy-handed I am and clumsy I am. I'm washing them in the sink and just they shatter. Like, that's just how they broke. Each and every last one of them. What the fuck? They were real glass too, but not like thick glass, but they were like thick enough and thin enough to break. But anyway, so yes, that guy, he laid the foundation, right? And he ushered me into this world of BDSM. A lot of people, when they think of BDSM, think of something sexual. They think of fucking, right? It's not always about fucking. It's about submission. It's about relinquishing power. That's what turns a person on. No penetration was had, like, between us. Can you imagine that? It was not no penetrative sex. It was just you say I'm crazy, but you don't think I know what you've done. 'Cause me, baby, I know I'm not the only one. I had to put that in there. Actually was gonna start this video singing that song. That's one of my favorite songs, by the way. But yeah, it was just that power dynamic that had been established, and I allowed him to, in a sense, own me. He owned my mind. And I made this quote where I say that being owned is better than being loved. And people are like, how can you say such a thing? Yo, it is. When you're a true submissive, such as myself, it feels so much, oh my gosh, it's so empowering to be owned. He owned my mind. That's where he started first, in my mind. And so that laid the foundation. And then when I moved to New York in 2014, I met this former New York Times reporter. It's an older white man. And hold on, hold your judgment. Hold your judgment. Hold your judgment. For me, it wasn't about race, though. It was about that dynamic that we shared. And he also was a master. He got up in my head, y'all. And this is a thing because I know a lot of people who follow my YouTube channel and watch my videos, many of which are white men, submissive cuckolds. Where the alpha white men at? Okay, where the alpha white men that follow my page? Speak now, forever hold your peace. But the thing about a lot of y'all who do follow my page, it's like y'all be saying, oh, it would be interesting to see like you as a dominatrix. They think that I'm a dominatrix, right? They think somehow that I'm into dominating men, and I'm like, never. I could not. I have to like interject this, right? I'm gonna continue with that story as I'm building a case for the power of releasing that Kundalini energy, that sexual energy that has been pent up for so long, yo. And there is a basis for this. But for a lot of you guys that do stumble across my videos and you like the way I address the topic of cuckolding, and you try to encourage me to explore being a dominatrix. And I think about it though at times. I even thought about it today. I'm just like, yo, they have no freaking idea. If I was a dominatrix, I have to stop right there. That's it. My mind can't even process even further beyond thinking about if I was a dominatrix, right? Because I know it would not go well for any man in that position. It just wouldn't. And I know a lot of y'all be like, oh, well, I like being dominated. Just like I've been saying, I like being dominated. I like being told what to do. A lot of y'all like being mistreated. Y'all like being dogged the fuck out. Like, brutally. And I know I have the potential within me to go beyond what you guys would want. It would be on some sick shit. You wouldn't like it. I wouldn't even like myself in that position, right? I would hate the guy and I would hate myself in that dynamic. So that wouldn't work out. But of course I have thought about it and like, nah, I like being a submissive. So going back to the story, oftentimes like I do this intentionally. A lot of y'all be like, oh, could you just like get to the point? No. My videos aren't for people who just want me to rush in and be quick and get to the point. It's not for quickie people. It's not for microwavable minded people. It's just not. That's how I like to weed out the people who this video is not for. And I can tell the real writers because they make it through all of my side notes, right? And all of my circumferential thinking. So, yeah. He was a white man. He was a retired New York Times reporter. I won't say he was rich, but he had a couple $100,000 saved up. Lives out Long Island. Owns a condo. You know. He alright. Like, decent. You know what I'm saying? Financially. But it wasn't about that. It was really about his mind. Because we connected actually, I think, before I moved to New York. I was in Atlanta and we connected before I even got here. We were like exchanging conversation. And yes, that's why I tell people it's all in the mind. Yo, he got in my mind. And And it was just like, oh my gosh. It was almost as if it was like the white version of the black guy that I had met, the master I had met in Atlanta. But nothing is better, of course, than the melanin version. That's always going to top. But the black master, yes, he had it all, all the way around the clock. And I wouldn't say like, okay, he was like the finest man walking, but he had the height, right? He was not like out of shape. He was just like big built, you know what I'm saying? Like tall and big built. Big ass hands and shit. Though I said, it wasn't no like intercourse, but it was intercourse, right? The psychological level. And he had laid that framework. So meeting this guy here in New York, the former New York Times reporter, yeah, definitely got in my mind. And it was like a building up to that point, right? It's a building up, the anticipation of like, the craving. And given this is all in the context of me not having intercourse for a 5-year stint. So of course I was craving that dominant sexual energy, though I wasn't getting it, and I wasn't getting it on purpose. I did it to myself. It's not like, if any man think that a woman cannot get laid, you got to be the dumbest man on earth, okay? Anybody can get some dick. Any woman can get dick, You got homeless people fucking, okay? So it's not even about that. It's just, for me, what turns me on. Don't get me wrong. I like some good penetrative sex, when it's done right. But there are ways to sexually satisfy a person without the penis being inserted into a vagina. And I got a chance to experience that. And boy, when I say heaven on earth, okay? You don't have to die and go to heaven, You can have heaven right here on earth. But that's exactly what I experienced in that dynamic. And I'm just sitting here reflecting as I sip my wine, thinking about what I'm going to eat tonight. And I encourage you guys, like, who are on my YouTube channel, feel free to come over on Facebook, because that's where I record my videos. And it would be nice to be more interactive with you guys as you are watching. I know a lot of y'all lazy, don't want to come over to Facebook, and then you just want to wait to upload my video on YouTube, and then you're commenting as I'm watching the live with you on YouTube, but you're not getting much out of me, because that's not, no. I'm not going to be sitting here typing, interacting. We can interact here while I'm making the video. So hello, this is just a pointer. But yeah, so we're sitting in this condo, and I don't know what I'm wearing. In fact, what I'm wearing wasn't even important, because he told me to take it off. So I took it off. I pretty much did exactly what he told me to do. Just how I wanted to. Until I didn't want to anymore. But as long as I was being a good baby girl, I did it. And he had this big desk, mahogany desk. And it was like the L-shaped kind, right? And I remember, like, he told me to come sit on a desk. And then he got on the phone. He was talking to his brother, like making phone calls and shit to family members, calling his brother. He had like 2 grown-ass sons, damn near my age, calling his sons. And mind you, I am unclothed, breasts, nipples all perky, sitting on his desk. He's looking at me while he's talking on the phone. I'm jovial, in a good mood. I'm looking back at him with my innocent eyes. course, my body is innocent too. I'm sitting there on this desk. And I'm a bit shy. You can see it in my body language. You know, I'm somewhat wanting him to direct the flow between us, right? And to direct me in what I'm going to do. But at the same time, I'm a bit inhibited, a bit closed off, a bit nervous to say the least. I'm afraid of what is going to happen. What could happen in this moment. So I'm sitting there, and as I began to clasp my legs closed shut, to make myself a little bit comfortable, right? To be a little bit reserved, though I'm fully exposed. He's like, part them. And I did. My legs parted, opening up, so he can see my flower. He's sitting in his chair, very relaxed. I'm sitting up on this desk. He's looking at me. I'm looking down at him. And boy, when I tell you, I have never been so overflowing with lubrication. Yo, it was just pouring. I was leaking. You can fill the whole cup. Well, maybe a shot glass. You know, one of those little New York Knicks shot glasses. I actually own one, by the way. I don't think I ever used it, though. But, yeah, you can feel like a decent shot glass with the nectar that flowed out of my flower. And it just kept coming. It wouldn't stop, y'all. And at this point, my body is trembling. I'm low-key having an orgasm, y'all. It's possible. You know that, right? It's possible for women to orgasm without even being touched physically. Yo, it takes a skilled motherfucker to do that. See, y'all ain't ready for that, though. You know? You got these dudes, these niggas be acting like they know what they doing. You know, want to just jump right in it. And pump hard and bang, 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 bang. And yeah, that might be alright. But gauge this, though. You know, you can tell the power that a man has over a woman, psychologically and physically. Just look at her body language, y'all. Alright, a lot of women be faking it. But I have to say this, though. And it takes a skilled master to be able to do this and appreciate this. A lot of men not there yet psychologically. A lot of men not even disciplined enough to do this. But I did talk about this in my video on pussy worship. Go back and watch that video. Now, the actual video is kind of choppy, right? The visual. But listen to the sound. Listen to what I'm saying in the video and pussy worship. And how I break down, I emphasize the importance of taking your time, slowing down with it, not being in a rush. This isn't for the microwavable-minded people, okay? The impatient people, which social media has eloquently conditioned in our society. This is for people who are well seasoned, who are disciplined. Because in order to control, dominate another person, you have to be disciplined and in control of yourself. A lot of people lack that, and so that's the reason why they are drawn to this dynamic, this BDSM lifestyle, but they're not there. They're drawn to it for the wrong reasons because they lack control. So in doing so, they try to regain it through a relationship. It doesn't work out that way. But a true master is already in control of himself. He's very disciplined. You can wait. In fact, you don't even need sex. It doesn't. Sit back and worship. Worship the feminine energy. And boy, was I flowing. And my body trembling. To the point, I was craving. I was like, God damn. Please. Please. Please, can I have it, Daddy? Please. Please, can I have it, yo? My body was begging. My mind was begging. My words, no, I didn't have the courage to beg with my words. But my body couldn't deny it. I was there. Then he hung up the phone. He saw I was there. He hung up the phone. Was like, I got some business I gotta take care of. I'll call you back later. Yo, that shit was sexy as fuck to see him do that. I was like, God damn, yo. I'm sitting here unclothed on this man's desk, leaking, yo. You can see, like I said, the nectar. It had escaped from my womb, my flower, onto his desk, pouring out. My legs just begging to be touched. My whole body essentially was begging to be touched. And then finally, after, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes on these phone calls, he's like, alright, talk to you later. But the whole time he's looking at me like, it's coming for ya. It's coming for you, baby. Okay. And so then the phone calls ended, and then we went to the bedroom. And the best part, I think, about this dynamic that I shared with him was the bondage. It was the bondage, yo. It's like not being afraid to experiment, which he had plenty of experience with this, by the way. It takes experience to be a master. And he had a big ass bed. Bound me to the bed and just left me there. That's a master. He's not rushing to satisfy himself, though he was satisfied, though he was titillated by his teasing of me, right, and pleasing of me at the same time. Clearly I was being pleasured in this interaction. But he wasn't in a rush. A lot of men, they would have done the job, right? Or their job, shall I say, not the job. Because the job really in this moment is to, of course, make sure I'm happy. Okay? But yeah, they would have been got it out the way, right? Because they don't have what it takes to delay gratification. They just don't. He had a lot of it, yo. A lot of willpower and discipline. He just left me there. Tied me up and left me there. I'm just like, he actually was going to leave me there for real, like leave the house. And I was like, no, you cannot leave. I mean, I know, like I said, I'm a submissive. And I know I said I like bondage, but hell, I don't like it that fucking much, yo. I know I like risque things. I know I like edging. But I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, am I ready for this shit? Hell no, I'm not ready for that. That's a whole nother level. It's like, what's gonna happen next? The fuck? What if he doesn't ever come back? And I'm tied to the fucking bed. And I'm fighting. And yo, when I say he tied me to the freaking bed, let me get my shit. Yo, pull this out. He tied my ass to that motherfucking bed, yo. I'm talking about I couldn't get out unless he let me out. And I've talked about this before, how of course, ironically though, I'm pro-black, I'm a Pan-African, and I'm against racism. But at the same time, ironically and not ironically though, it's kind of common sense, that if I come from a bloodline of slaves, don't you think there's some part of me that gets off on being tied up and beaten? Of course. Of course. And that I was able to live out that fantasy with a white man tying me up and beating me while I'm tied up. That shit felt so fucking good. End of story. There was more to that, but I'm not going to go there. Okay? Not going to go there. That's for another time. Damn, it's hot up in here. And I have my AC on. It's hot because I'm wearing this blazer. It's my candy I got from yesterday when I went to the theater. So, it's just that I have these periods where I put myself on restriction. I repress my own sexual energy. And I think it can be a good thing to do so. I think there are a lot of benefits to doing that. Because, boy, when you finally release it, it's just like, Now, so that was back in 2014, right? Hypothetically speaking. But fast forward to my dream that I was talking about that prompted me to do this video. It's all about repressing this sexual energy and releasing it, right? So, it's been, I haven't been counting because I've just been living, right? But it's been over a year since I've had intercourse. Since I've been touched by a man, period. Okay, not even just intercourse, but just touched by a man. It's been over a year. That's not really long though, you think about it. You got some people that they virgins. You know, some people, they haven't had sex in 5 years, 3 years, 10 years. For me, it's been, the last time was January 2021. And I think I kind of made a vow to myself, like, yo, unless a nigga gonna do it right, I ain't got time to be playing around in a goddamn sandbox with these motherfuckers. Right? Because it just leads to disappointment and more frustration. And who the fuck wants to be frustrated after sex? Okay? You're supposed to be relieved. You're supposed to be calm. You're supposed to have a feeling of ecstasy. No worries, stress-free. Not fucking stress, relief, worry, and all this bullshit. So, to that end, it's just like, why even bother? And I told myself that, and I kept to that, and I haven't. And not only haven't I had sex, but I really just haven't been entertaining men. I mean, I'm on a dating app, but I just have not been entertaining men. Like, to the point where, yo, even having interactions, just like typing messages back and forth, has been so unnerving, annoying to me, yo. I have like this much patience, okay? Zero fucking patience to deal with these men. But of course that comes as a comes with a consequence, right? I'm getting distracted. But that comes with a consequence. Eventually it catches up. So I've been doing pretty good. Like, not even thinking about sex. Just like living, you know, making money. Just living, right? But it's funny how Like that's the saying is true, right? It's not even just a saying, but this is law. That energy is neither lost nor destroyed. So the energy is going to still be there. If you have sexual energy, which we all do, right? And I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm a sexual being. And I rest in my femininity and my sexual energy. It's there. Shit ain't going nowhere. Though I have repressed it by not feeding it or not releasing it necessarily. A way that I have released it, though, in the past was through masturbation, but I haven't been masturbating lately. Well, let me stop lying. I haven't been masturbating as frequently, let's put it that way. When I say frequently, I mean like on a weekly basis. Like, I'll go weeks, if not months, without touching myself. So that energy has to go somewhere. And then where does it go? Where the fuck does the energy go? It shows up in my freaking dreams, yo. But I wasn't even mad. I was like, God damn. Maybe when I go back to sleep, you ever have a good dream and you're like, damn, I want to go back to sleep and have a part 2 to this dream because this shit was so fucking good to be true. Not to mention, I'm not even about to go into the dream that y'all love so much. Y'all loved it so much that I almost got my channel fucking deleted fucking with y'all. Because I made a video. This was years ago when I was back in LA. I made a video about a dream I had about my dad. And that shit went down in the dream. It went down. But that video is no longer. And we're not talking about that. But it just goes to show how, like, it's interesting how this energy kind of transmutes itself into a different form, showing up in my dreams. And for me, dreams are so real. Like, I know, like, we're awake, we experience life in our waking hours, and we call this, like, reality, and then the dream world is just, like, fake, right? But for me, it's like, it's real. It's very real. I don't look at it as necessarily. I look at it as a different world, right? Like a different realm. Not that it's fake. It's just a different realm, a different reality, shall I say. I think it's spiritual. And so I started where I'm working now back in December. And that's why you guys will see why I preface this video by saying that if you are a colleague of mine, get your ass up off of here. And if you made it this far and you're watching this video in its entirety and you are a former, present, or let's say future colleague, then you're here for a reason. Right? What gets me is how people will stumble across a person's space, right? This is my space. And then you have the nerve to judge a person, but you hear and you're watching it like it's something in your ass that made you curious enough to want to watch this video. Yeah. Because no, I'm not the only one. I want to play that song right now. But I want my video to be monetized. So, on my team, there is a psychiatrist and a few other people, right? Well, nurse. There's a chief nurse. There's a chief psychiatrist. There's a psychiatrist. And I remember when I first started at the hospital where I work. And y'all know I read energy. I read body language. I do it all. So, you know how, like, when men are weak in the knees for a woman, like they have been subdued by her prowess, right? And her power. I saw that where I work. I just saw it, like, you know, like this starry-eyed shit, yo. I saw it. And of course, I maintain my professionalism at all times, right? But I can't help but acknowledge it and notice it and make a mental note of it myself. Where the psychiatrist on my team, reading his body language when we're having interactions with each other, this motherfucker is weak in the knees. And I wouldn't say it's just because of me. I think it's just because he is depriving himself of full sexual gratification. Now, he's married. That don't mean shit. He's married, but it doesn't mean that he's being sexually satisfied by his wife, and I can guarantee you that he's not. I mean, it's clear, yo. Not that I will cross that bridge, but I think that bridge has been crossed in a different dimension, which I'm going to get into, okay? So, he's looking at me. And while he's looking at, I'm standing up and he's looking at me. His body is just weak. You can see it in his eyes. It's just like, it's almost as if like my eyes grabbed his ass, yo. My power just like through my eyes just grabbed him. And he's just sitting in his office chair and just like looking just so powerless and beholden. And I can see like he's shifting in his chair. And I can see that there's energy moving throughout his body and through his groin. And he's looking at me. And I know that I could have, in that moment, and there were many moments like that recurring, gotten anything I wanted. But this is a professional setting, so I would not. I just wouldn't. No, I'm a professional. I wouldn't, right? But I just think that making a mental note and me observing this, right? And I'm just transparent, clearly. And I can be articulate and express this in my personal space here with you guys. But I'm just like, damn. Fucking power, yo. But then I'm also like, damn. I'm withholding myself. I'm limiting myself. I'm not exercising it. I have this power, but I'm not exercising it. Why? Oh, because they're professional fucking standards. Okay. Then my mind begins to do this cost-benefit analysis, right? I'm like, you know, never mind. But then I'm like, damn, this motherfucker weak in the knees, yo. And it's almost like every time I came around, because we encounter each other often, he's weak in the knees. And I noticed that he's drawn to me. And I think that he began to notice himself. And so, in that self-awareness, he had to slow down. But it's just, I think this is natural energy. It goes without saying. Like, what the fuck? We are human beings, right? People talk about, like, they compare humans to animals and study animal behavior, and this is what happens in the animal kingdom and all this bullshit. Right? But this is just natural, instinctual human behavior. What the hell you expect? So he's just like drawn to me. When he comes in, he acknowledges me first, though I'm new and other people have been working with him for how long? Years, right? He acknowledges me. Even when he leaves, acknowledges me first, like I am the center of his attention. I noticed this. I think he had to catch himself and like, all right, let me dial it back because it's too obvious here, right? But like I say, I don't think it's just me, right? Not that I'm undermining my power, but I think it's just the feminine energy. Because I see him this way with other women. But that look in his eyes, though, I don't see that. Like, I see him, like, obviously drawn to, like, feminine energy at work. And kind of displaying that weakness, right? That kind of submissive weak, like, oh my gosh, I'll give you anything kind of thing. But then at the same time, like it's all in the person's eyes, yo. It's just like, you can't hide them eyes, yo. That is all in his eyes. He's just looking like, damn. He's just looking like, like desperate, like hungry, like thirsty puppy dog. Like, damn. I'm just like, yo, you won't even try to hide this shit. Not only that, but the energy shifted in his chair and his growing area, like, he's trying to fucking fix it and cover it up, but he can't help himself, right? And so, lo and behold, the inevitable happens, where I'm off work, and I'm at home. The sun has set. I'm in the comfort of my bedroom. I fall asleep. And guess who shows up in my dream? The psychiatrist. I'm like, what the fuck? Funny enough, though, I have to say this. Like, so I'm doing a group today, and part of my groups, I like to incorporate music. It does wonders in terms of rapport building, just softening the energy in the room, the mood, conversation starter. It just allows people just to be relaxed and open and free. So I use music, and one of my patients had requested a song that, in the song, he was singing the lyrics, and I was like, what did you just say? And he repeated the lyric, and the lyric went something like, even in your dreams, you should do the right thing. And I had to be honest. And that's just how I am with my, like, I'm just real like that. Like, with my patients, I'm just real and very transparent. Not to the degree that I am with you guys, of course. But I'm transparent enough so that my patients can feel me and see that I'm a real person. And so he goes, that the lyric says, even in your dreams, you should do the right thing and not do bad, even in your dreams. And I said, in my dreams, it's a different story. In my dreams, I do what the fuck I want to do, right? Literally, what the fuck I want to do. There is like no limitation, especially when I know I'm dreaming. And they call this lucid dreaming, right? Where you are aware that you're dreaming. And so I have lucid dreams. I think I have other kinds of dreams more often than I have lucid dreams. Maybe I would say it's a 40-60 split. So 40% of the time I have lucid dreams. Not as often as I would like, but enough, right? To have some fun with it, right? And so, yeah, when I know I'm dreaming, baby. Alright, so, the dream that he showed up in, the psychiatrist, it was a lucid dream. We were in the office, and I was in his space, his workspace in the office. And somehow, I was unclothed. And I kind of remember it very vividly because this dream happened, I think, like months ago. And I allowed him to penetrate me. I didn't stop it. In fact, I welcomed it, yo. And I was like, oh my motherfucking gosh. oh my gosh, it's happening. But I knew I was dreaming. So it's just like, if you know you're dreaming, you know it's a dream. So nothing can go wrong, right? What can go wrong it's a dream, okay? Nothing can go wrong in a dream. And then I woke up, and then I went to work, and I'm transparent with my colleagues too. And so I was having this discourse with a social worker, and I was just like, yo, I had this wild dream last night. He was like, yeah, and I was like, yes. And in fact, the psychiatrist is in a dream. He was like, what? And I was like, yeah, it was some sexual things happening. He was like, what? It's like, he wanted to hear more, but then part of him was like, I shouldn't be doing this. But part of him was like, I want to hear more. He was like, did you tell him? I was like, hell no, I ain't telling his ass that shit. You know, it was bad enough that I already see that his ass starry-eyed around my ass, right? He's weak in the knees. To tell him, but I think, yo, his ass, this is a medical doctor. He's like, he's not stupid at all. He knew. And who knows? He probably had the same dream about my ass, yo. Because he came around and he talking to me in my workspace. The psychiatrist came around. And we're all talking now. It was like a triangle. Me, the social worker, and the psychiatrist, both of the men, were talking. And he's like, looking at me. And I'm laughing about the dream that I had about his ass last night. And he's looking like he knows what the dream is, but like I don't need to tell him what it is. Like he knows. It's just like it was a funny exchange. That was a couple months ago. Fast forward to yesterday, last night. I'm like, what the fuck, yo? Where are these dreams coming from? And I must emphasize that I am not sexually nor physically attracted to either of these people that I'm mentioning now. A psychiatrist nor the person I had a dream about last night, but this person showed up in my dream. And the funny thing about it is this, right? Because I remember another treatment team member became a part of the discussion about dreams. She kind of like walked in kind of late as I was talking about it, and she's like, "Yeah, what y'all talking about?" I was like, and then the social worker was like, "Tell her, tell her about the dream." I was like, "Nah." I was like, I just was saying that I had a dream about a psychiatrist, and she's like, oh yeah, and then she made a joke about how her family, if people dream, they say, oh, keep me out of your dreams. It's like the funny thing about dreams, I mean, I don't think people get it. And I know it's not just me. I have like when the dream is happening, there are dreams I have control over in terms of like control over myself in the dream. But I can't control what I dream, right? A dream is just, it happens. It's just like, funny enough, when dreams happen, they're like midway. Somehow you're like just plopped in the middle of a scene that's happening, right? And then you may have agency over your actions or not. But it's not like I choose like, oh, I'm gonna dream about this person tonight. Like, no. If anything, when I fall asleep at night, my mind is not on anything. And that's the reason why I sleep well every night. I don't have trouble sleeping. I don't have sleep problems because when I go to sleep, I set my mind to just be in a place to transition into a different dimension. I release everything and I let go, and I know that I'm being transported into a different realm, right? That's just my mind. Like when I fall asleep, it's a whole experience. So it's just like I fall asleep, and before you know it, like I'm unconscious. And then whatever happens, right? I fall asleep seamlessly, very effortlessly. I love that about myself. So it's not like, oh, I'm thinking hard about like, I'm gonna dream about this person. I've even shared dreams that I had about Dr. Umar Johnson. Like, this is several dreams I had about him. Now, granted, I do like Dr. Umar Johnson, so it's no fucking Go figure, right? How I can have a dream about him. Or he services in my dreams because, yes, I do like him and I listen to his lectures. But I've had dreams about him, and I'm about to talk about those dreams. Shit went down, y'all. In fact, it didn't really go down. It's like I wanted it to go down in the dream. We both wanted it to go down, but the motherfucker was too big, yo. I'm like, nah, this shit hurt. Like, nah, no, this shit. So big ass off of me, yo. But yeah, so with this, it's like I understand dreams, obviously, because I study psychology and psychoanalysis to the point where I know that dreams are like in our subconscious mind, right? Part of our subconscious mind is like repressed memories or thoughts. But I wouldn't say, or could I say, that it's repressed. I think it is. I guess it is repressed energy in a sense that I'm, first of all, foremost, I have to admit, like, I'm not sexually attracted to any of these people. And I'm going to get into the dream I had last night about the freaking chief nurse on my team. I am not fucking sexually attracted to none of the motherfuckers. Because I have a certain type, and they're not my type physically. I mean, they're cool people, you know what I'm saying, to work with, they're not. That's not my type, you know. So I found it's kind of weird, like, how the fuck I'm in a position like that. But I think that what is repressed is knowing, right, and a thought of knowing that this person has a certain kind of energy towards me. I can tell that he's attracted to me. You can tell, like, it's just like when a woman is in front of a man, you know, he's just sitting, like, you know, he's looking at her and staring. He can't take his eyes off of her, kind of thing. It's like that, like, you can tell. It's just all in the person's eyes and their body language. So I think me shutting that energy down, that's what it is. Because I can tell, like, when it happens, like, he's, like, wooed by me, like, I'm maintaining my professionalism, and I'm redirecting the energy into something, like, refocusing the conversation so that he's not, like, scanning my freaking body, you know. It's like, damn, this motherfucker ain't got, you know, shame is getting, like, he's, like, scanning my body, and just, like, it's just so obvious that, yeah, he's mesmerized. But at the same time, it's just like, yes, a repression of that thought, of that energy that is an exchange between, you know, myself and the psychiatrist. So it's just like, okay. So I guess it just resurfaces, it just transmutes itself into a different realm, being the dream world. I was like, what the fuck? But how do I explain the dream? How the fuck I explain the dream last night? And where was the location? I wouldn't say the location. And it's funny, my dreams are so weird because even though the location with the psychiatrist was like in the office, like, it was still like the outer context was like the beach. Okay? Now, granted, my office is not on the beach. It would be nice if it was, but it's not on the beach. But yeah, the outer context was like the beach, but we were like in the office, and like that was happening. And then, like, with the nurse, it was like in the building, not the office per se, but it was like in a building. I remember very vaguely, it was like in the building, and I was unclothed, just bending over, like, doing yoga poses. The downward fucking dog shit, yo. I was doing yoga poses, and he just saw it as an opportunity. He came right in. I'm just like, what the fuck? This is a nurse. Came right in. And I knew it was him. Like, his face, like, everything is the same, right? Like, I recognize this is a person. I don't want to say the nationality, because if I say he's not Like, he lives obviously in America, but he's not native to America. I don't want to say the nationality, but it's like if I give the nationality away, okay, so part of it is the nationality relating to the size of his penis, shall I say. And I saw that the shape of his penis was like long and narrow. But when the way, yo, my nigga, this shit fucking lit. The way that shit went down in a dream, oh my gosh, especially considering, yo, I have not had sex in a while. It was just like he knew the right way to touch me and to hold me, and it was like from behind me. It was like grappling my body, and then he inserted his penis very slowly though, and I felt it was like piercing through the walls of my vagina because I was so tight. Like, yo, the opening of my vagina, it was very tight. It had closed, and his penis was like rock hard, and he was penetrating through those walls, and he was going so slow, being very calculated and courteous not to hurt me, right? So that I wouldn't jump, and I just felt every part of his manhood sliding inside me very slowly, but he held me so tight from behind. It was just what I needed. It was going in and going, and then he finally made it. And yo, his shit was long shit, but kind of like hot doggish. But the fact that he was rock hard, the fact that I haven't had sex in a long time, it was perfect fit. And I was just like, oh my fucking gosh. And then minutes later, he ejaculated. It was done. But it was long enough. It wasn't like a quickie. It was like long enough that I can appreciate the moment. And when I woke up, I was like, what the fuck? Like, how do you explain this shit, yo? The funny thing is that I know definitely where it comes from. But like I already explained you about the psychiatrist, it's just like, you know, it's the energy that you can't hide, right? Even with the nurse, like, you know, he's a cool guy with everyone, but it's a different kind of energy with me, just the way he interacts. I can tell it's just different, yo. And it's just like, okay, interesting. But nah, would I do that in real life? Hell the fuck nah, but who the fuck no. Hey, listen. They say you only got one life to live. And for me, I have always been the kind of person, I take risks. I take calculated risks. Even more so now that I have reached a place in my life where I don't give a fuck. Okay. Not that I ever really gave one, but it's just like live life, yo. Live life. Go out there and have fun. And you have to make decisions. Like, if it's worth it, then you'll act on it, right? If it's worth it, you'll act on it. But nah. I think a bigger part of me is like, nah, would I do that in real life with either one of them? Hell the fuck no. Because that's a dream. Let's keep shit real, 100. Those are dreams. So even though the experience in both of those dreams was ecstasy, utopian, it was like, I know that shit ain't gonna go down like that in real life. I know. Because I just know. I just know that shit ain't gonna go down like that in real life. You can tell, like, when we read energy, and you know if a man is like good in bed. I don't know if y'all can tell, but you can tell. Like, you ain't even gotta touch it. You can look at a man and tell, like, nah, this motherfucker gonna be wasting your time. This motherfucker ain't gonna lay that shit right. Like, you're gonna be disappointed. And who the fuck, yo, the worst thing is to, first of all, engage in something risque as that. That's very risque. To fuck a coworker. I would never, knock on wood, but never. And on top of that, to not be satisfied by that shit, yo, you know how embarrassing that shit is? You know how degrading that shit is? You know how disrespectful to myself that shit is to do that, to be disappointed. Like, nah, I would be so mad at my fucking self. So it's not even a question as if I would do it. I just like to, for the purpose of this video and entertaining the thought, because it's kind of hilarious and fun, to imagine that. But hell the fuck no. Like I said, I'm not attracted to either one of them in that way. But what if they packing down there? You're like, damn, what the fuck if they really can bang that shit out like nah, I wouldn't be working that motherfucker if I did some shit like that though. But I know there are people who do get down like that, and I would not be surprised if shit is going down like that already in that place, right? You got people that do that, but me, I'm not that easy. I'm not an easy catch. But if I decide to engage with a man in that way, like, I don't know, I'm real difficult. I'm hard, and these men can tell you, like, you know, I may chat with a man like on a dating site, if that, you know, if you get lucky to even get a high out of me. But it's hard. And even if I give a man a time of day to even get anywhere near intimacy, that don't mean that shit gonna continue. Like, you gotta deliver, y'all. That's why for me, it's all in the mental. It starts in the mind. If you don't have a hold on my mind, then it ain't nothing else to be said beyond that. Like, you definitely have to literally own my mind. And that takes some skill, yo. That's why I kind of laid the foundation with this video, where I was talking about the master experience I had in Atlanta, followed by the one I had here in New York with the white master. You know, it's like they definitely own my mind for the time that I allowed them to own it. But it was a very pleasurable, mystical experience that is unforgettable. Definitely. Now, the white master, I blocked his ass from my Facebook page. Who knows? He might watch my YouTube. I don't know. I really don't care. But I blocked him because he became very annoying. Granted, he's a white man, so of course he's going to at some point annoy the shit out of me because we are diametrically different, right? Even though he understands like racism and he's against racism, as a lot of white people may tout, he's still white, and we all carry racial biases, whether we are conscious of them or not. And your racial biases will show, right? The more you open your mouth, the more you talk, this shit gonna come out. It's gonna show. And you know, he had a tendency, I guess, because he felt like we were very closely connected to each other, which we were, clearly. I allowed that to happen in that way. He took it upon himself to like feel like his opinion was really important and valued on my page, which I didn't value his opinion on my page necessarily, but he had things to share in certain videos, and it just annoyed me. Like, even when I made the video about my father, what video was this? When I made the video, I think I was on the phone talking to my father, and he made a comment like, oh, I wish I could hear what your father was saying, because there was like some technical error in the video where you can hear what I was saying, even though I was on the phone with my dad and I was recording it. You can barely hear what my father was saying. So he was like, oh, I wish I could hear what your father was saying. And then, like, I was talking about basically how my dad said that he was telling me about his experience, you know, growing up and working on a farm, picking cotton, and them having a well, and you know the white men would come by and pee in the well that they would pull water from, things like that, so they wasn't able to, you know, pull water from that well. And I made that, and like he tried to make a comparison to say, oh, I lived on a farm, I worked on a farm, like I grew up on a farm, but there's no comparison. Right? It's like that's the shit that annoys me when white people try to make it seem like, oh, well, I can relate to your story because X, Y, and Z happened. When in fact, your story is nothing like my father's story, right? The difference being, well, when your ass white, and the farm you're talking about, your family owned that, okay? Let's be clear. Whereas my dad did not own that, right? He worked for someone who owned, a white family who owned that. It's totally different. He did not get paid for picking cotton for hours throughout the day. He was underage, right? The pay was, you might get scraps from the table, as he said, but it wasn't pay. And so this guy, like, he tried to compare it, say it's similar in a sense that the conditions, like the living conditions, like, oh yeah, it was hot and we didn't have AC, like trying to make, like, it's not, just stay back, yo. Just so that shit like that, for example, just annoys me, right? And that's where the line is drawn. I think it's better, and I actually said this before, where I actually have more respect for outright racist motherfuckers. Just stand tall in your racist ass, you know what I'm saying? Just embrace it, you know. You KKK, embrace that shit, you know. Wear it proud. I have a big issue with people want to be on the fence, you know. It's like, on one hand, you know, part of your identity, like, oh, you're white and you have your privilege and just a different life, but then, you know, you're trying to, like, identify and, oh, I understand and want to relate to black people. Like, cut the bullshit, you know what I'm saying? It's just, for me, like I said, I like just pure honesty. It's just better for a person just to be honest and just be white. You know, you got privileges, just rest in that. Yeah, you probably had struggles in your life, but don't try to relate that shit to the black struggle. You know what I'm saying? It's different. So yeah, that's where I had to draw the line between me and him, and I ended up blocking his ass. I just got annoyed. Like, when I block you, like, I'm over your ass. Like, yes, it's important interacting with me that you be cautious, okay, of your words. Just think, like, being on my page teaches people, especially if you're commenting, you're interacting, it teaches you to think before you speak, right? To be calculated, to be respectful, which a lot of people aren't. And it just shows you more about who I am, because you're going to see how I respond and how I react to the shit your ass do on my page, right? And you see that I ain't with that bullshit. So yeah, this was like long after, you know, I had severed that relationship with him. So I guess he felt like, okay, he still had my mind. Like, nah, get your motherfucking ass off my shit. Block. But he probably still watched my shit. And going back to the other master, he probably, I don't know. I know I see that his ass followed my page. I was like, hold on, I read the name. And I was looking through the list of people following my pages. I was trying to block somebody else, but I stumbled across his name as one of my followers, and I was like, all this long time, this motherfucker been following my shit. Granted, he is the one. He's the reason why I created a website. Y'all can thank him. He's the reason why I created my website, Danielle. He actually told me to create it. It was part of an assignment under his tutelage for me to create the website and to blog my experience as a new submissive. So I thank him for that. I was saddened. I'm going to say this in this video because I got to go to me some food. I was a bit saddened that our relationship ended the way it did. It had to. Because I got attached to that shit. That shit can be very addictive, y'all. It's like, it fits together, right? Like a glove. I was what he needed and he was what I needed. And I saw that it was getting really intertwined. It can get real intertwined to some thin line between love and hate, or what they call that shit? Um, what's the name of that freaking story? You know, where it gets to the extent where it can be deadly. And that's exciting and fun thinking about that shit. Like, damn, imagine having so much fun you die from that shit. Sex in that way, right? Or sexual relationship. Not sex in of itself, but like sexually based, right? You can have fun dying from other things too, like bungee jumping, but I'm talking about like romantic relationship, like very enmeshed and very like inseparable. One would say is a bad way, right? To be kind of enmeshed and that intertwined, right? Like almost codependent. Well, not almost. It is. One can say that's like unhealthy, but nah, I like that unhealthy shit. That shit, bro. That shit. It's not. To me, it's not unhealthy. It's more so like that's what makes it work. It ain't gonna work no other way. And that's what brought us together. But yeah, it had to end because I found out his ass was married. I saw like the band, a person wear a ring for so long, they have like an indentation in a fucking ring finger. And I'm just like, no, I'm looking at this shit, inspecting like, is that what I think it is? Like, you're married. He tried to deny it. Like, you can't deny shit. Your ass fucking married. Too bad. But a lot of men are married and they end up doing that shit. And that kind of goes into like, the videos that I make on alternative sexual lifestyles or relationships is that, people are living a lie. And I've said this, and I'm definitely about in this video. I've said this before in prior videos where people they're at a crossroads trying to determine like, should I, should I not? Like, I'm having these urges, I'm having these thoughts. It's just like, if you're having those thoughts, right? And it's not thoughts of you going out fucking being a serial killer or committing a mass murder of terrorism. You're just having thoughts of exploring your sexual identity. Then what the fuck? That shit ain't hurt no goddamn body. Like, do it, and just be open about it with your partner that you've been with. Like, why keep yourself in this goddamn psychological cage just because of these narrow-minded rules that society has imposed on you, right? And you've internalized these beliefs of what society says that you should live up to, you should be, you should practice. When it's all bullshit, it's bullshit. Just live your life and create your own reality. Create your own separate reality apart from these fake, idealistic beliefs that society itself, like society says, oh, you should do this, but motherfuckers in society ain't even doing it they goddamn self, right? So that's just my motto, and that's how I live. Now, like I said, your girl just been working and chilling and living. But I wonder who's gonna be my next victim. Who is gonna be my next victim? Who am I gonna let victimize me? Yeah, I wonder. I just like, damn, it's like, it's about time. I feel like, damn, it's about time. But then, these motherfuckers ain't measure up. Some do come close. It's rare, though. It's like, come across 1 in a 500 that they come close to what I believe that I like and I need. I look for in a man, but then like, nah. Yeah, something they say always fuck it up. Just fuck it up. So on that note, I'm going to end this video. Feel free to share comments below. I feel I can be open because this is my truth. And a lot of people out there living a lie and living up to some false expectations of what somebody else who hate they self and hate their life. I told them to live. And that's not going to be me. Like, you know, I live my life freely and happily. And I ain't about to stop because somebody think that I should do this or live it this way. Like, it don't go that way. It's like, when are they going to get it? Some people, they don't quite get it. They want you to, they think that you're this person. They want you to be like, nah, you just, it's just going over your head. You just don't get it. Just do not fucking get it, y'all. God damn, what the fuck that loud ass shit is? That's a SUV making that kind of noise. The hell? Where do I want to eat tonight, y'all? What time is it? I feel like it's late. It is late because I kind of work the late shift. But yeah. I'm in a good space in my life right now. That's funny. I see that Robert De Niro, he has this movie that he's gonna screen as part of the Tribeca Film Festival. I was sharing this with my colleagues at work, and I was like, I want to get tickets to this movie, this Robert De Niro movie, but it's $75. But it's a Q&A, and I love, anybody know me, I love film. I love Q&A, more importantly. I like the behind the scenes and getting to know like what it took to make the film and all that. You know, the people behind the film. And so I was sharing it like, damn, I want to go. And then my colleague was telling me that Robert De Niro, he's the creator of the Tribeca Film Festival. I did not know that, right? He was like, yeah, he's the one who created it, and he put a lot of money into Tribeca itself, like the neighborhood, which is the reason why it is the way it is today, because Robert De Niro invested so much money. I'm like, I did not know that. And I shared with him, like, in fact, I actually met Robert De Niro. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, you never know who you're entertaining, right? You never know who a person is. That's what they say. Be careful how you treat people. You don't know who the fuck I am. I don't know who you are, right? You don't know who a person is. But I'm like, yeah, I read Robert De Niro. Granted, it's not like we friends, but like I worked on set with him. Many of celebrities, actually, when I was living back in Atlanta, Georgia. Las Vegas, I was in that movie with him in Las Vegas. Same scene. It was fun, though. It was fun making that scene with him, Morgan Freeman. Who else? A few other motherfuckers in that shit, in that scene. And we had to do a number of takes because my ass, like, I wasn't drinking. Nobody was drinking because this is a film, this is a movie set, right? But it's almost as if I was drunk because number one, like, they had the women wear these fucking tight, skimpy ass clothes, and back then I was more like tomboyish, so I'm wearing this tight, short ass dress. Now it was a cute dress, like golden dress, heels. They put us in heels and all that shit. And we all on the dance floor dancing, and I'm like on the dance floor in front of Robert De Niro and Morgan Freeman's table where they were sitting at. And then their action was to get up and run out to the dance floor and start dancing. But it was just like the coordination of me dancing but maintaining my dance while they rushing out to the dance floor. Like they kind of like threw me off balance and I tripped. So we had to do the scene over again, keep doing it over again until like I maintained my balance. But I thought that shit was hilarious. So I had good times when I was in Atlanta. I met a lot of celebrities, worked on a lot of film sets. I met Tyler Perry. I worked in Tyler Perry studios. Like it was nice. It was cool. But then I felt like I outgrew Atlanta. And then I'm like, yo, I want to go to New York. You know what I'm saying? New York West Side. You know, I had never really had like been to New York. Like my family had a reunion up here years back when I was like a senior in high school. But I hadn't really experienced New York. So I was like, New York. And then I lived in New York for a little bit, and I'm like, LA. LA. So that's just me. Like I live life, no cap, no limits. You know, doing what the fuck I want to do. I don't have any kids. I don't have no husband. I do what the fuck I wanted to do, and that's just how it's gonna be, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. But share your comments below. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Who knows what the fuck I was dreaming about tonight, y'all? That's why I say, like, listen, you work with me, and if your ass is in, like, I'm talking about you in this video, you shouldn't even be here. But if somehow the universe brought you here, the universe brought you here for a reason. Okay, so we can have some conversations offline. Don't make or break me. Catch you guys later.